So I am so excited to have with me on the show today. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to just get into his story and everything that's going on. Alexander Fleiss. Alexander, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on today, Candace. Absolutely my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, I came across you through a mutual friend and, Dr. Jaspersky. And when he's like, hey, check him out, just take a look. And the thing that really caught me about you is you spend a lot of time in the data space. Like your business is built around data and technology and investment and all that. And, from my perspective, a lot of my background is in the data space as well as the marketing space and all that. So I'm like, yes, an entrepreneur that's in the data space, gotta talk to him. So tell me a little bit, Alexander, about, why you're doing what you're doing today and helping people specifically using data and relative to their money and investment.
Yeah, no. My career has always been destined for mathematics since I was a little boy. It's always been the only subject that I loved and was also very good at. I mean, I used to love to paint, but I had absolutely no skill and I was terrible at it. So, my athletic skills were not to be desired. So, math was the one avenue that seemed to make sense. And, I started programming originally with video games. Actually, I programmed the Flight of the Intruder video game, which was a fun movie from the 80s with Willem Dafoe and Danny Glover. And around 99, 2000, I got obsessed with machine learning, which is the branch of AI that has to do with software teaching itself. For me, the idea of software teaching itself always made a lot of sense. And, as an environment changes, the software should update itself on its own. And software that doesn't need human beings to update itself, that's been attracting me for over 2 decades now. So, it's definitely, where I want to be. And now, I've started teaching, which is something I love. I have a course this fall. We'll be doing NLP at Cornell Financial Engineering. And over the summer at Fordham Gabelli Business School, I'm going to start a portfolio management class. So, it's a lot of fun. And actually, Rebellion Research it's really more than an AI asset management firm. It's really more of a think tank. We've got about 61 graduate students, post-grad, pre-grad, and we're doing work on data mining, edge computing, all the newest types of machine learning. So it's really, I'm spending most of my time now on education, and I'm trying to learn more now than I ever did. So by working with all of these students, some of which are in their 40s, on these far technologies that I don't even know about, I have to go to colleagues of mine in the science world and find friends of friends to work with, which is great. And I have so many friends around the world. And so, often if I need an answer on something with NLP, I'll go to my smartest NLP friend, Dima Korlev, who's a great Ukrainian guy who I met through my Indian friend, Abhiram. So, which gets me to, I'm very into globalism, and, my friends are, uniquely diverse in that, I tend to, be the only person like myself in a room. So, that's kind of the way I like to play it. I mean, I'm all about what people have to contribute. I love, Chevy Chase has something great to say about legacy. He said the best parts about people with legacy are like potatoes. They're in the ground. So the idea being that, legacy is about someone who's either dead or is going to die. And I want to meet people who have great ideas and great passions, which also brings me to schools. Often I find my best students are from smaller SUNY schools, highly driven, very passionate. I've gotten disappointed more from MIT students than probably any other school on the planet. Not to knock MIT, some of my other smartest students on the planet, went to MIT. I had a student, Angelina, who did this amazing AI and swimming report, which is actually the #1 Google search swimming and AI report right now. And she's at MIT and she's great, but at the same time, I've had other MIT students who were just, and so arrogance very much can get in the way of hard work. And I don't think Yeah, and I don't think anything can replace passion and drive. That passion and drive are my two favorite things. I don't care, as long as you are committed to what you want to do. There's no one I won't work with. And often people think I won't work with them if they aren't a 3.8 from Dartmouth Engineering or Yale, but that just couldn't be less of the case. I want to work with the students who have the passion and the drive to develop things that they don't understand when they start the project.
You know what, that's that. So when you said that phrase, like, it just went through me, that arrogance can get in the way of hard work. Like, that is how, oh my gosh, just how true is that? And I'm just trying to think how many times I've seen it, not only in others, I can admit to being guilty every once in a while down that path. But it's so funny, like when you sail down a path, and then as an entrepreneur, especially when you may start to get a little bit of traction, you know, a little bit of audience building, a little bit of attention, and you feel like, oh, okay, let's just sort of sail through this. I am, you know, so-and-so. But that's a fast way to sort of burn.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. And I couldn't deal with people like that. And for instance, you know, my first wife, I'm already on my second marriage now. So I guess I've already lived quite a bit. But, you know, my first wife and I are on great terms. You know, we have the most beautiful daughter together who we both worship. And, you know, she was from a trailer park, you know, total full ride scholarship. You know, her father had left her. Her mother was working on a tin can line. So, you know, those are the type of people I've always enjoyed associating with. Those who are self-made, and those who are kind of on a constant quest to learn. And so you mentioned Gleb, Dr. Zaborski earlier. And I've really enjoyed, you know, being friends with him for a number of years now, because I found that he, you know, like me, is kind of on this endless quest to learn more. And yes, when we die and we're in our caskets, or, you know, in the urns or whatnot, we'll stop our quest of knowledge. But until then, the older I get, the more I realize I know less. And, you know, the more ignorant I feel, if anything. Every day I'm like, oh my God, these people know so much about this, and then so much about that. And then I build a reinforcement learning, machine learning program and think I know something about it. And then I come across a friend of mine who's building one, and he's so far advanced than me. And I'm like, oh my God. And, you know, it's a Darryl Strawberry effect. There's always somebody who's going to hit it further than you. There's always a Darryl Strawberry out there to make you feel, you know, lesser. So you just got to go about doing the best that you can do. That's, you know.
Right, building in that learning continuously. So I want you to tell me a little bit, Alexander, when we dig into your story as an entrepreneur, I want you to kind of go back for me. So you talked about the video games and all that, but I want you to go back to the time when, maybe it's when you were building Rebellion Research or whichever company, and it was still fledgling. Like, you were still doing something for money, but you were building this other thing.
No. So you know, for 2+ years after I graduated college, I was working for an investment firm, not a Rebellion Research. Rebellion Research was being built and developed by these 3 scientists who I partnered with. And I had raised money for Rebellion Research to fund it while I had a job at another firm. And so, you know, those were very hard times, because, you know, despite working very hard, you know, every year my money was just going out the door. Plus, you know, we kept pivoting as a company. You know, at first we wanted to develop AI research products, and then AI asset management, and you know, it took a number of years of R&D and a lot of very expensive data. And then when we couldn't even get the right data, we had to get the data ourselves. And so, you know, the company kind of started out, I mean, it started out of a math class at Emory College in 2004. And actually the chair of the Emory Math department was running that class. And she actually joined our board at Rebellion for, you know, like 15 years. And so Professor Lai is great woman. But at that class, I met one of my partners, and, you know, we both decided that machine learning was a field that, you know, we just had to jump into it. You know, for us, it was, you know, like computers in 1975. So we felt we had to do something. And so that partner, Jeremy Newton, ended up working with Peter Thiel for about a decade, the Facebook founder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the time we were upset because it was like Peter Thiel stealing your chief science officer. There's an honor to it that, your chief science officer is being nabbed by Peter Thiel, but at the same time, obviously it slowed down our AI development. But, we're still all best friends, and Jeremy's now an active member of the company again. And so I was actually a best man at his wedding.
Very cool.
You live and you learn and you move on, and you only have so many brothers in life, and so many, and brothers will fight. I had one brother
Absolutely
who hit me with a hammer, and I had another brother who, hit me with a baseball bat. Brothers will be brothers. So, yeah.
Boys, I tell you.
Yeah. I mean, boys will be boys. Girls are sweet. Girls like their tea parties. They don't really want to just kill everything. I mean, I've got 10 nephews and nieces, and during Easter, the nephews run around and wanted to smash all the flowers, while the girls want to collect the flowers and bring them to all of the uncles in a sweet way. So yeah, boys are different than girls. Definitely.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you spent some time, while Rebellion Research was being built, being raised. You were in sort of the trenches of, okay, I'm doing what I need to do. I've got money going out. And when we talk about money going out, is this money going out to help get Rebellion Research off the ground?
Yeah, so we raised, nearly $3 million. Our most prestigious investor was, Bob Pittman and the Pilot Group. So Bob was the founder of MTV, and he was then the COO of AOL Time Warner. And the Pilot Group was the precursor to Lear Hippo, the venture capital firm. So they funded, Huffington Post, Daily Candy, Thrillist, and so we got Bob to buy a 5% stake in Rebellion, which was great, and among other, investors that we were able to raise money from. But the company turned to profitability a few years later, and we've been profitable the last few years. So it's not so we don't need to raise money anymore, and I've been able to focus on education, and that's become my primary. I wear my Amherst College sweatshirt proudly, but I've actually been teaching a biannual AI seminar at Amherst for about 12 years now, since 2008. So, I just love education. It's absolutely my passion. And, it's far more gratifying to work with young, excited minds than it is to convince another investor to open a large account from Rebellion. Though it's nice to grow revenue, and there's a certain point where the satisfaction and the gratification is quite limited in monetary returns versus humanitarian returns. And so, helping, like I said, so right now I've got 61 students I'm working with, and helping each of their careers move higher, move forward, seeing them advance. Nothing's more meaningful than that. I was actually emailing a boss earlier today, saying that one of the best times of my life was when a former student became the head of AI at Accenture, which is a leading consulting firm. Mm-hmm. And to watch my students succeed is just absolutely the best feeling in the world, like popcorn popping. It's just very satisfying,
Mm-hmm. So I can totally identify with what you're saying. Yesterday, I was recording my 300th episode of the podcast. So it was season 1.
Congratulations, Candace.
Thank you. It was the finale of season 1, and one of the questions, I had my husband actually interview me for the finale,
mm-hmm. That's
and
cool.
One of his questions was around what is it that you see the most passion in, or what's something. I forgot what the question was exactly, but what clicked in my mind, and it's similar to what you're saying, is I love seeing other people win. Like the success of other people is outstanding. So when I sat back and I reflected on that, and I'm just sitting here thinking, so there are a couple businesses that I have. I've got my digital marketing agency, and that's focused in the real estate space. So that's mostly, helping those businesses, broker owner businesses, grow. And then I've got this other piece where I'm focused on mompreneurs and an education piece and really helping them grab their freedom and raise their businesses. And it's amazing, as you talk about, there's the monetary piece, and one of them is higher on that scale than the other. But it's that one where you really see people like grow and gravitate, and not just another business make more money. That can be just amazingly gratifying. So I understand what you're saying completely.
Yeah, I mean, being a parent was the most important thing that ever happened in my life. And the love I have for my daughter is the most extreme feeling, I've ever had. And so, my students, I don't love them like I love my child, but they're children to an extent. And I love each of them to an extent. And so seeing them succeed, seeing them grow and flower is, fantastic. You can't not work with someone and not grow to care about them. And so, these students become very, very, very important to me. And some of them, I haven't worked with in a decade, and we still talk all the time. And so, a lot of them, if they lose a job, I'm the first one they'll come to and say, because they, they're very comfortable with me. And I don't judge my students, and I only really try to do the best for them. I have two rules at Rebellion Research, which is, always be learning, and never be mean. And so,
never be mean or mean?
Mean. Oh, mean.
Oh,
no. Oh, no, I'm the I'm the nicest guy ever. I went on lithium like 5 years ago after my divorce. It was, my first wife fell out of love with me. I was highly depressed. And so I've been in, I met my second wife. I fell in love. I'm really the happiest person ever. And I feel so thankful to God and to, to the world for having brought me to this place that, giving back and watching other people get happy is a great thing. And so I hate seeing people who are unhappy, and, making them happy is the best. Being in love is the best. Having a daughter is the best. Everything else is secondary. John Lennon was right. All you need is love. And so, when you get a little bit of love for these students, watching them succeed, it's the best feeling ever, And so, if I didn't do all of this and I spent 100% of my time on Rebellion, would Rebellion grow quicker? Are my shareholders of Rebellion probably disappointed that I'm not more obsessed with growing the company? Yeah, but I, just at this point, this is who I am. This is what I'm about, and this is what makes me happy. And by the way, finding your happiness and following your happiness is without a doubt the most important thing in the world. So I got to tell you, one of the first things I do when I start working with a student, and sometimes these students I'll work with for multiple years, is I need to find their passions. Because, if you don't know what someone's passionate about, you're not going to get them to come out of their shell and produce their best work. And let me tell you, people's best work is always driven by their passions. If you're not doing something that you care about, you're just not going to do as good a job. You're not going to make it as well done as it could have been otherwise.
Absolutely.
You've got to love what you're doing. So,
absolutely.
Which also can create devastation. I mean, Hitler wanted to be a painter. He was a failure at being a painter, and he never could get over that, many people say. And so, he became a demon. But at the same time, for those who can follow their passions, you'll, become the best version of yourself.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. There's something about going after what you love, just being intentional, making it work. So did you know, Alexander, that you always were going to be an entrepreneur? Like that this is...
Oh, God, no. I never thought I was going to be. And in hindsight, it would have been so much easier to just go be a professor like I had planned for many years. I really just wanted to be I wanted to be a professor for many years, and a poet, and I was going to be a speechwriter for a little bit, but I never thought I was going to get into business. In fact, I have 3 older brothers, and growing up, when my 3 older brothers, who are all in business, would talk with my father about business, I used to get angry at the table and say, "This is a family dinner table. We don't need to talk about business." So I don't love business per se. Business. I run a business, and so I do that, but no, I don't enjoy business. I don't find business itself to be a gratifying endeavor, if you will. I know some people find business to be very gratifying, and and you're talking about real estate, and I was watching a documentary on Jared Kushner where he said that real estate is porn for rich people. And I thought to myself, some rich people, because to me, real estate can be a great business. And if you're passionate about it and you love to build buildings and you love to buy and sell and you love to analyze and you love what you do, then that's fantastic. But, for me, porn for every individual should be, their passions and what they love to do. And so maybe for Jared, buildings are his porn because that's what he's passionate about. And right. For me, my porn is mathematics and great data sets and learning about cool AI technologies that I'm having trouble understanding. But as I understand them more, it gets me excited because something I have trouble understanding tends to be something very interesting. And so, that's why I try to keep friends with all people who are much smarter than me. And so I mentioned my Indian friend and my Ukrainian friend, both of whom, Dima and Abraham, are 20 times smarter than me. For my own partner, Han Kui, he was one of my students from Columbia like a decade ago, and he's far smarter than I am. And so I really enjoy spending time with people who are much smarter than me so that I can learn from them.
Yeah. I think it's a smart strategy, right? Like there's some quote, I can't think of what the quote is, but something like, if you are always the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. Yeah. No, absolutely. Because then how do you learn? How do you feed that itch to keep learning and do more, grow more if you are the maximum potential in the room?
Well, I'm a huge basketball fan, and growing up, I was a gigantic Knicks fan. And something about the early '90s Knicks of John Starks and Patrick Ewing was that they were much better against the best teams and much worse against the worst teams. And I've realized, I guess, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, that to be the best, you had to play the best, and that would bring out the best. And then when you played worse people, that would bring out your worst sides, and you do worse, and have worse outcomes. And so that's why if I, bring in someone, a student who's lazy or a student who doesn't care about working, that'll bring down the other students, and that'll bring down the overall chi of Rebellion Research's kind of workflow at the time. And so, the one time I ever acted really crazy at the office, I caught an engineer playing video games, and I picked up his laptop and his backpack, and I said, "Follow me, you're out of here." And that was probably the most extreme I've ever acted in over a decade plus of running Rebellion. But it is who I am. I don't have time for – I love video games. I'm a gigantic video game nut. But, not at work. It's just inappropriate. And so, respect must be given in life. So, I guess doing video games at the office for me is like kind of not giving it your best and playing with people who are not as good as you and concentrating on stuff that's beneath your abilities, and if you're not challenging yourself, you're not going to bring out the best in yourself.
Well, that is true. That is for sure. If you're not, there is something else. I don't know why all this is coming back to me from yesterday, but almost like if you're not putting yourself in a place of the possibility to fail, for me, if the possibility to fail seems likely, and I'm not talking about in a catastrophic way, I'm talking about something is so new, like it is so like something you've never done before. If you can get yourself into those types of positions more often than not, okay, you're going to learn a lot. Yeah, you may fail along the way, but you're going to learn a lot that's going to help you move and go to the next front. But if you're not putting those challenges in front of yourself.
Oh, yeah, no, failure is the best. Failure is absolutely the best. That's, studying history is the best. Studying history's failures are the best guides for the future. I always tell my students, you're not going to build a portfolio manager that is going to kick butt at first. It's probably going to fail, but the more you fail, the more you will learn about why you failed. The more you will learn about how to do it in the future, that works. I mean, we always go back to Edison and his, I haven't failed 10,000 times. I've come up with 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb. And so that's the way you got to look at it in life, and that every failure, helps you kind of narrow your course towards success. And failure is great, and it's great to fail. And trying new things is wonderful. And so often, like with COVID-19, these gigantic rips in the economy can be very good, because you'll get a lot of people who were ripped from the job they were so comfortable with for so many years, and they might be forced to take a 1-month programming course or take an at-home nursing course. But then, later on, their earnings will increase by a lot, because the average at-home nurse makes, something like almost 2 times the average American wage. It's like 70 versus 40, 38. And so, a programmer, of course, but, you can get basic programming jobs with just a 1-month-long course. So, hopefully the positive out of this COVID-19 crisis is that people will try for jobs they wouldn't have tried for before, because they were scared to leave that kind of place they were in. But when you get 20, 25 million job losses, you're going to get a lot of people who, lost that comfortable job that they've known for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm. Now forced into a shakeup that ultimately is the best thing that could have happened to them, even though they may not see it that way at the time.
Yes.
Yeah,
In the long run, we will be a stronger economy, a stronger society. Everything will be better because of this. That's generally the way things happen. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that, we will be stronger. Do I think the economy will come back? Of course it will come back. Yeah. It'll take time. But, the American government, see, Donald Trump, he might be a crazy guy, which I think, I think we all agree Trump is crazy. But
yes,
W. Bush was a real conservative. When Lehman Brothers failed in 2008, he didn't want to throw money at the economy. It took 6 months after Lehman Brothers for any troubled asset relief, any money from the government. Trump was like, oh my God, the economy's failing. Let's give it everything we have. We spent like $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion in 2008. We're spending $4 trillion now, which is more than 2008, and we're doing it immediately and just throwing it at the economy. So it's better than what happened in 2008. So the recovery should be better and should be, sharper. It definitely, we'll see what happens. But, you have to realize that the whole stock market is only about 20 trillion, and Trump is throwing between 4 and 5 trillion at the economy, which is a lot of money to throw at the economy. It's just a lot of money. Just about every small business person can access, if you get on there, you can get $10,000 to $15,000. You can get the grant. You never have to pay it back. It's, there's a lot of money out there for the small businesses, but these small businesses also include like guitar teachers and, pianists for cocktail parties that haven't gotten a gig in 6 weeks. And so, you can get your 1,200, you can get your unemployment, and then you can also get, these grants. So they're trying to throw a lot of money at the economy, which, despite being Republicans, is very liberal of them, which, which is great. So, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. With Rebellion, we have, 42 countries plus. So, I've got such a span of, I'm really just a libertarian, which I just want you to be as happy as possible, fulfill your dreams, and to affect other people negatively as little as possible. I'm not, I really am just pursue your happiness, do what makes you happy. Don't stand in the way of somebody else's happiness. As long as your happiness doesn't hurt someone else, I don't have a problem with your happiness. I just have a problem with inflicting pain on others. I do not abide by pain being inflicted on anybody else. So that's kind of the way I fall politically.
Absolutely. How do we do the thing that is best for us as humans?
JFK. Everything JFK said, I agree with. It's very hard for me to find a quote from JFK that doesn't, resonate with me. JFK was somebody who believed in service, sacrifice, honor, but respect to absolutely everybody and equality to absolutely everybody, while being tough and giving back. It's a nice, I really, really appreciate JFK for being probably the only real conservative liberal America's ever had. Because he literally, I'm telling you, check it out. He's the first time we ever really had with JFK, he was a liberal, total leftist, total liberal with a lot of these kind of conservative policies, kind of, I called these people kind of Roman emperor guys, and they follow how the Roman Empire grew and fell, and they look to that, and that's the society they want, kind of a free, open, democratic, fair, very sensitive, but at the same time, you have to work hard, provide your service. I I guess I believe in giving back, and that's a big part of why I do a lot of the teaching I do. I think it's very important. Everyone gives back in the way that they can.
Absolutely. Striking that balance, right?
Yeah.
To how far do you go to the, hey, take this, plus wait, we got to make sure we can, grow and capitalism for all in the strongest area. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, Alexander, what are maybe the top 3 things that you would advise to other entrepreneurs who are, they want to move into doing this full time. Like they want to run their own businesses full time. They don't want to have to worry about, I'm side hustling over here and one day it'll be the main hustle. What's your top 3 pieces of advice?
My number 1 piece of advice is hustle, 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 which is just, you can't stop. I am always working, Candace. I mean, I'm an extreme case, getting up at 5 in the morning, staying at the office till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. But you can't stop, and never be afraid to get rejected. The Steve Schwartzman guy, he started Blackstone, worth $30 billion. He loves to say that his first 17 pitches were not just zeros, but like, get out of here zeros. Like, we have no interest in you. And this guy with $20 billion, controlling part of the world's financial, economy, was kicked out of 17 offices. That's a lot of no's. How many entrepreneurs have gotten 17 no's before their first yes? I question whether it's LinkedIn or phone calls or emails. You try, let them say no to you. People aren't offended that you want them to try your product. I love hearing people's pitches. I mean, I'm at the point now where, I'm happy in life. I've got this wonderful wife and I'm content, but what's your pitch? Maybe it'll help me. And if it doesn't, oh, well, people who are mean to sales people, I think, are generally people who are just angry and are looking for people, no, so often, anger is depression turned outwards. You touch somebody who's just a little bit of love and they will tend to blossom like a flower. I mean, I'm telling you, the angriest people will really just open right up with just a little bit of love. But I listen to salespeople. Let them see what they have to, maybe rebellion needs there or whatever it is. 99 out of 100 times we don't need their service, but if we did, I would, sure. And so, but that's my, I'd say 99 out of 100 for entrepreneurs assume you're going to fail, but every 100th call, you get it. There's, my favorite movie is, is the Will Smith movie where he plays a Wells Fargo advisor trainee, and his son and him have to, I can't remember the name of it. I saw it like 20 years ago, but I've read a lot about the real life version actually, and he sold like a 30% stake in his advisory. Yes, The Pursuit of Happiness. He sold a 30% stake in his advisory for like $2.5 million. And, he loves spoiling his children now, but, he would make 500 phone calls for every, landed client. But that's, if you're willing to make 500 phone calls, you will be successful. Anyone in America can build a business if they're willing to work hard enough. I absolutely believe that. I don't care what handicaps they have. If they can get the sales out and make 500 attempts a day, they will land clients, because as long as what they have is a real viable product, someone needs it. And if after 10,000 calls, nobody wants it, maybe the product does not make any sense. There is also a point where a product is just, not a smart idea and one should move on in life, But as long as your product has any ingenuity to it, you work hard enough, you'll get clients, you'll get sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely subscribe to that too. Like there is no reason when people talk about, I want to build a business. I say, hey, well, building a business, yeah, you can build a business. Like, absolutely, I believe you can do it. The hard part is the work that goes into it. Like, yeah, you can make money without that 9-to-5 job. Yeah, that is something that you can do. You can come up with a product to sell it. Yeah, that's easy. The hard part is everything that goes into getting the clients, fulfilling. Like, you got to be willing, to your point, to get the no's, to get the no, I'm sorry. Trust me, I've been through it, even in my own like cold calling stints, and like, in the that new phase of cold calling where it's like, oh my God, they said no. Get over it. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to be willing to do the work. So
You have to assume they're all going to say no. I don't want your product. I don't want it. AI stupid. Robots. T-1000. Schwarzenegger. No, you know, I want a human being to talk to. You know, you don't beat the S&P often enough. You know, all sorts of reasons. There's always a reason to say no, but you'll find someone with a reason to say yes.
yep, absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. But this has been a super, super amazing and just enlightening conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah, a lot
gosh.
of fun.
Oh my gosh. So first off, I want to thank you so much for being here. But before I do that, let the listeners and watchers know, where can they learn more about what you do and what you offer and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so rebellionresearch.com is our website where we manage brokerage accounts for clients in 41 countries around the globe. And we also have our research, which we publish for free. And you can sign up for the research. You know, we've had about 32,000 readers in the last week. And so our readership has been growing tremendously. I think in the first year we did this, we had 100,000 readers, and we hit like 200,000 readers for the month of March. So it's been really growing tremendously, but the readership is free, and I highly encourage you to sign up. We cover everything from AI in Finland to 5G to interviews with David Petraeus, the general, and astronaut Scott Kelly. We love the most futuristic topics. So if you have an idea for us, definitely contact us, and we'd love to explore it. I've got a lot of very, very, very energetic, brilliant engineers and researchers looking for new topics. So.
Very awesome. Well, I'm going to make sure that all the contact info that Alexander just mentioned is in the show notes at CandiceSpears.com. So you can make sure you go and check that out. If you've got ideas for them, go ahead, send it over. Sounds like he'd be happy to hear it. So, Alexander, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been
my pleasure.
Fun time.
Oh, no, thank you so much, Candice. Have a great day.
Thank you. So listeners and watchers, I hope you take some of what you've heard, if not all of it, from Alexander and take some action. And I hope you have a great day, a great evening, whenever you're listening. And I'll talk to you or watching. And I'll talk to you again very, very soon.